Hi everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. My name is Dermot, and I am and I'm a part of the marketing team here in Entepryze. And I'm here and I'm joined here by Malak and Saqib, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about Entepryze. So, just a brief about us. We currently have 10 office locations globally. All the way from our offices in Colombia to our offices in Malaysia and Singapore. I personally am based in the head office here in Dublin, and at the moment we have just over 10,000 users live on Entepryze, and we are always growing. We have and we are also live in 75 countries with all the with all the localizations for each country. Our leadership team consists of Morgan Brown, who is our founder and CEO of Entepryze, Kieran Kavanagh, our CFO, Paula Cassidy, our COO, Will Newton, our CCO, and Zoe Ennis, our Chief People and Culture Officer. To date, we have won global awards such as the SAP Pinnacle Award in 2018, and along with the SAP Innovations Award in 2018 also. So I would like to hand you over to Malak, who will take you through a brief introduction of ABS and also a deep dive into SAP Business One. So Malak.
Yeah. Hi everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar today. Just to brief you on ABS, we're an SAP Gold partner. We have 2 offices located in Jordan in the United States. We have a team of 44 consultants in order to support and implement SAP for our customers. So we have over 150 customers located in 14 different countries worldwide, and our team is dedicated to empower these users, who are more than 3,500 users as of now. As a SAP Gold partner, our main product is SAP Business One. So SAP Business One is SAP's best-selling ERP solution, and it's targeted for small to medium-sized companies. There are over 1 million end users and 70,000 customers who are currently using SAP Business One, and it has been installed in 170 countries. In order to allow for users to use the system easily and interact with its interface, it can also be downloaded, and it can function in 28 different languages. And due to the high customer satisfaction with SAP Business One, the renewal rate is 95%. Okay. So that's just a brief on the system. I'd like to hand the presentation over to Saqib to discuss the hybrid cloud.
Hello, dear panelists. Thanks for joining us. My name is Saqib, and I am a channel sales manager from Entepryze. The topic that we are trying to explain today is about hybrid cloud. As we are aware that SAP Business One is more like an on-premise solution, and based on current trends, people are trying to move towards cloud. So still, as of date, the ideal approach is to have more like a hybrid model where you have an on-premise solution as well as some level of access on cloud as well. And then comes the point of integrating these two on-premise and on-cloud solution. That's where Entepryze integrates with SAP One. So you have a blend of on-premise solution integrated with a cloud enterprise solution, thus making your journey easy in a sense, reducing your cost. In a sense, you can access it from any place, anywhere. Of course, you need to have an access to internet, and making it more simpler for the users when it comes to the interface.
So introducing Entepryze and SAP Business One. So with Entepryze, you can simply connect to SAP Business One and get cloud access for CRM, service, expense, and much more. Entepryze is a cloud platform that connects to SAP Business One and synchronizes in real time, giving access to your users to view data, create transactions, and perform tasks simply. We understand that no businesses or that businesses that use multiple tools that are not integrated for day-to-day business. So this is where Entepryze was born. It was created as an add-on to SAP Business One, which you and your business can use anytime and anywhere. So why Entepryze? Entepryze is an affordable solution for businesses with end users that don't require all modules for SAP Business One. It's made for users that just need a simple user-friendly interface, and it is available both online and offline. So we can help with our suite of mobile apps, where you can manage sales and pipeline, you can manage and track deliveries, you can log expenses and approve the expenses also, track your stock management, and then with Entepryze's like main web application, you have a brand new web user interface there, detailed dashboards which make reporting a lot easier, and we have so much more in the platform. So I'll hand you over to Saqib and Malak, who will then take you into a demo of how Entepryze and SAP Business One work hand in hand.
Great, thanks so much for passing over to me. So as part of today's demo, what we will be demonstrating is a full-blown expense module, which is equipped and is part of Entepryze. So it's not the complete Entepryze, but it is one of the most powerful features that is used by SAP users. So users can log in their expenses, get their expenses approved, run reports monthly, daily, or quarterly, whatever the criterion is for them to visualize their expenses. And let me go ahead and start with the expenses module. I hope everyone is able to see the screen. So I have a flexibility from my expense style. I can go ahead, add a mileage expense, add a receipt expense, and run an expense report. When it comes to mileage, so we have a flexibility to set up mileage, like what is the mileage of your car. And based on that, when you select your starting location and endpoint, Entepryze will automatically pick the distance between two geolocations, and then you will be able to punch in the details pertaining to that expense. The simple expense that I can pull over, I don't want to do the entries, but I'll pick up one example from the lot to show you how an expense looks like from the perspective of web app user. So I can see all the details related to my expense. Who is the user? Who is the authorizer of this expense? What was the expense type? If there is any corresponding project code associated with this expense, I can mark it in here. Then I have got an option to choose from who is going to pay for this expense. Is it paid by company or is it paid by employee? Whether it's customer billable or not, we understand very well that there are certain expenses which are customer billable, and we have an option to choose from here whether it is something that should be invoiced to the client or no. If it's unchecked, then of course that justifies that it's not something which you need to bill to the client or invoice to the client. Then you can link your GL code to the expense, and it can be same GL code as present in your SAP V1, okay, because both systems are integrated and you can find all the GL codes which have been set up in SAP V1 in Entepryze. And as you set up expenses in Entepryze, you will be able to associate GL code with them. Then there is a concept of cost center. Not sure how many of the panelists follow this, but system does give you an option to select cost center. If you want to run the reports based on cost center, you have an option to do that as well. And then another powerful feature over here is attachment. As we know that when we log in the expenses, we always try to keep receipts along with our expenses. So you have an option to attach the receipt of your expense to justify your authorizer. Yeah, this is a legit expense, and you have the dates and amounts associated for that specific expense. And I can then go ahead and post these expenses to SAP and they will reflect under AP invoices. So we have a tile which is expense posting. I will see list of expenses over here if I have any, and then I can go ahead and post them to SAP if I wish to. I have approvals tab over here. As an approver, I frequently get list of expenses which are due to be approved. In this example, I can see there are a couple of entries which have been logged in, and I can go ahead. I have an option to approve. I have an option to reject. If I reject, then it gives me an option to add my remarks so that the person who had logged the expense knows why this expense was rejected. Let's take an example. No receipt attached. So I can say no receipt attached, and then do reject. So as a user, what I can see from my home screen is I will get a notification over here which expense was approved, which was rejected, and if it's something which has been rejected, I will be able to drill into that expense and find out what was the reason mentioned by the approver. It can be anything like as I picked up this example, attachment not found or receipt not attached. So it can be anything. Now coming on to expense posting part. So how we typically post expenses is we basically have a pool of expenses that are approved, and then we are okay to flow them through to SAP. So we simply click on them and check which ones need to go to SAP and do approve. And this makes system basically flow these expenses to SAP, link them with GL codes and the suppliers in SAP. So you have the corresponding AP invoices for all these expenses in SAP, and the journals basically match with respect to Entepryze. We have also got a module where we can set up the expenses. So this is a module where we basically predefine our expenses, and I can go ahead, I can set up my engine capacity. I can create new expenses from here. I can set up the parameters associated with my expense, that who would be the authorizer for a specific person, what will be the corresponding GL code, and if in case we follow cost center concept, we can assign cost centers related to these expenses as well. So this is more like an admin panel where you predefine your expenses, you set up parameters against your expenses, and from the user perspective, what they have is they will have access to these expense codes to log in their expense corresponding to these codes. This is more like the simplified and easy version of using expense module. And then as an admin or as an accountant, I have flexibility to run reports based on these parameters. I want to run a report for all. I want to do some filtering. I can do filters here, but for the sake of simplicity, I'll run a full report. I can say generate, and I will get a report with all the expenses, which of course I can go ahead, download into a PDF shape and share it across if there is a need, or share it via email if there is a need. Now I'll pass on to Malak to help us identify how these entries are related in SAP, and then I'll give you a brief demo on how we can do the same expense entry from the mobile application, which is the easiest way of logging in the expenses.
Thank you, Sakib. I'm sharing my screen now. You should see it in a bit. So we'll go over to SAP in order to see the transactions that were created on Entepryze and how they are translated and synced into SAP. So over here we have the main screen of SAP Business One. The transactions or the expenses to keep added will be added as AP invoices. So they will be under purchasing and they will be added as an AP service invoice. So let's go to the latest AP invoice. We will have a generic vendor for the transaction or the expense logging. And over here we will have, as I said before, it will be a service type AP invoice. We will have the generic description based on what the user has logged in or the nature of the expense, and the GL account linked to it based on the setup. So for this example, it could be, let's say, renting a car for a customer visit. So we will have the expense GL account and the related remark and the total amount of the expense. And if it is related to a specific cost center that's already set up in SAP, then we can also set that up in Entepryze. So the transaction will be automatically linked to the cost center it's related to. For example, this one is related to sales. And we will have a link to the invoice and the user who added it in Entepryze. So this transaction can be also tracked with reporting in SAP for purchasing, or let's say GL reports and financial reports, and we can also use cost center reports or reports relating to the dimension in order to see the expenses or travel or employee expenses allocated per department, for example, or business line. And the expenses added in Entepryze and in the mobile app will also appear in SAP after they have been approved and posted in Entepryze. So the approval process for the expenses can be also done in Entepryze instead of creating it in SAP. So I'll move over to Sakib to discuss how they are added in the mobile app.
Great. Let me go ahead and share my screen from the mobile application. I hope everyone is able to see my screen. So this is Entepryze application for expenses. And at top left corner, I can see a settings icon, and I can do some settings which are more like user-specific settings. So these are the settings which are applicable to my device, to how I see the information on Entepryze. At the top, I see organization, which means the organization I'm logged into. There are occasions when you have multiple databases, so you can switch between different databases from here and make go in check mark the entity you want to log in or log your expenses. Then you have a display, expense display. So this is basically a pie chart, graphical interpretation of your expenses, and you can select from here up to what range you want to see these expenses: 2 months, 4 months, 6 months. Then you have set default date, which means it will pick up the current date. Automatically remove drafts. If you want to have this setting enabled, you can do that. And then you have an option of sync. So you have got multiple options to select from. By what it means is that after every 15 minutes, my mobile application is going to synchronize with web app and send or receive the new information that has been either entered on your mobile application or on your web app. As a matter of fact, we know this is for mobile users, and we can run into a situation where they don't have an access to internet. And in such situations, Entepryze app allows them to log an expense, but it doesn't sync it to to Entepryze or SAP as such. So for that, once they are connected with internet, they can come in, either manually go ahead and choose an option of synchronize, or they can let the application sync on its own based on the timer which they have set up. And down at the bottom, I have an option to to see the version or either log out if I wish to log out from the application. The dashboard is board-like, very simplified. I can see a quick glance of what has been happening with my expenses. What is approved? I can see 7,522 pounds, 150 is outstanding, 110 pounds have been rejected. Approved expenses over the previous months. This is what that setting basically 2 months, 4 months, 6 months relates to. So if I set it up to 2 months, it will just display me the figures for last 2 months. And then I have got an option to click plus and add a receipt or add an expense. So I do see add a receipt, add a mileage. I'm interested to add a receipt. So I will go ahead. I have an option to attach. I can go ahead. I have a receipt in front of me. I'll go ahead and scan that one. Use photograph. What is the type of expense? It can be anything. Let's suppose it's a rent. And these expense codes, just to remind you, are the ones which you set up in either in SAP P1 or in Entepryze. And you will be able to see the list of all the expense codes that you have set up. If I am supposed to log it against a particular project which we track, then based on reports, I can do that. I have to enter the amount, which of course will be the amount mentioned on my receipt, and the currency, location, whether it's customer billable, who has paid for it, and what was the purpose of this expense, maybe purchase stationery. Done. And I have option either to save it as a draft. Maybe I want to do minutes or I don't have a receipt handy. I'll save it as a draft and then attach the receipt prior to sending it or submitting it. Or I can directly go ahead and submit it. Yes, submit. And then system will give me a notification whether I want to send a notification to the approver. If it's my choice whether it's urgent or not. If it's not urgent, then I'll try to don't send. If I do send, that means a notification will go to the approver that a socket has submitted an expense. Either he will then have an option to approve or reject. Approvals are done from the web app, but you can just do logging of expenses from the mobile application. And then you have these different tabs available where you can see outstanding expenses. Maybe you want to remind your approver that this expense should be approved, so you can send an email from here, or you can also delete if there is something wrong with this expense. Here you will find history of expenses, both approved and rejected, and you can switch between both tabs. I'm interested to see all my approved ones. I'll see them here. I'm interested to see my rejected ones. I can go ahead and see I can immediately realize, oh, there was no attachment for this. That could have been the possible reason on why this expense has been rejected. And then I have drafts. In case I have any saved any drafts, those drafts will land here. And then I have a review tab to review my expenses. So I can see one expense to approve, 150. I can click in, and just in case I'm interested to see more about the details, I can swipe to left, and it will open up all the information pertaining to this expense. So just a very easy, precise information from the mobile app perspective. And we have got users who even sometimes lack access to internet covered. As you know, there is a synchronized feature. They will be able to log an expense, and then as they get connected to the internet, they can simply do a sync, and it will be a seamless sync. The information will flow to Entepryze and then subsequently to SAP. That's pretty much it from the expense module. If there are any questions which we need to which are in your mind, you can put them in a chat, and I'll be happy to answer. David, do we have any questions coming in?
Not so far, but like, I mean, look, if anyone has any questions throughout the session, you can put them into the Q&A section down at the bottom, and we'll be sure to kind of run through them at the end of the at the end of the session.
Great, fabulous. Now I'll take give you a brief walkthrough of our Customer One portal, which is basically extending an access of Enterprise to your clients. Of course, it depends on what information you want to share with your clients or what information they will be able to see when they log into Customer One portal. So we have the portal name on the Enterprise is self-service. So it is basically a self-service for your customers. And this is where you set up the permissions and all the settings of what your client will be able to see. Given an example, I want to restrict my clients to see quotations until a specific date. So I can simply go ahead and hide quotations older than a particular date. Not only that, once I set up these settings, I will be able to simulate it from here. Okay, I can click here and check how the access looks like before granting an access to the client, before confirming an access to the client, just to ensure that you have the right information available to your client. And from the Customer One portal side, what information I see basically is I'll be able to use my, let's say Saqib is more like a client in this case, who is set up as one of the contacts for your clients, can come in, log in, and based on the permissions he has been offered, he will be able to enter, I'm sorry, let me log in again. He will be able to see that information or create that information. It's completely based on the settings which we have deployed over here. Now, to keep it simple, I have generally allowed all the permissions. And this is how I see things from here. So I can go ahead, create a new service call. Maybe your customer can be a client for an IT industry. So I realize that my server is down. So I can come in here and create a service call for you, server down. And if I want to put any details pertaining to this, I can do that. And if something is broken, I want to attach something over here, maybe some contract or some agreement or some image, I can do it here and save it. So from the perspective of admin, what will happen is the same service call will reflect in Enterprise services, and you will be aware, you will be in, your team will come to know that some customer is facing an issue. What is the issue? Issue is basically server is down, and you will have find all the corresponding details pertaining to that that error or that problem. Let me switch to database with some more information. And then at any point of time, I'll be able to track these service calls, what has happened with them, what is the subject, what is the priority. I cannot set up the priority from my side. By default, it will go as a low priority, and then it will be a call of admin people from your side to identify whether it's a low, mid, or it's high priority service call, so that they can route it accordingly to the corresponding team. Then we have sales module, wherein we can find documents related to sales. It can be sales quote, it can be sales orders, it can be sales delivery, it can be sales invoice, and it can be sales credit notes for any returns that that you have done for your clients. You have a corresponding credit notes. So those credit notes will land here. Customer doesn't have a choice to create a quotation, of course, for obvious reasons. Otherwise, they would put the price whatever they want. But they have an option to create sales order from here, and they will be able to, if you, they will be able to see the stock level and basically place their orders accordingly. So if they can do it from here, just for the sake of an example, and the prices will be pulled from the price lists, which you have set up either in Enterprise or SAP. Then you have deliveries. So all the deliveries which have been done as of now will be shown in this list. And you have option to export to Excel. You have an option to filter it down. I want to filter it based on a certain date, based on a specific business partner. I want to see information just for one client. I can do that. For a particular date, I can do that. So as many columns you have here, you have filters on each one of them. So you can apply filters and get the information accordingly. Then you have account details. So I can come in and manage my accounts here. I have a new employee joining in my firm, and I want him to be a point of contact for your firm. So I can add it as a client contact from here. I don't need to send any emails or any calls that I have a new guy joining in, or I want to set up a new contact for my company. I can do it from here, set up all the details, and that's it. I can manage my addresses. Pretty often you see situations where companies change their office locations, so they can come in and manage their addresses themselves. The other option available over here is statement of accounts. So this is, I think, most of the companies face this challenge every month, and they are being asked by their clients, what is my statement of accounts? Please share my statement of accounts to check my balance or what is owed to them. So they can come in here, set up the date range, and download a PDF or run a report which they can see, they can basically visualize on their own without basically engaging your resources. And in a much more simpler and comprehensive way, they can access all the details, or not necessarily all the details, but most of the information which is relevant to them. And of course, depends on what information you want to expose to them. So based on that, they will be able to see the information. This is pretty much it. And then from the normal standpoint of any web app, you have an option to change your email address, reset the password if there is a need for that. So you can do it from the application itself.
Okay, and just to add one thing, the transactions that are created in the Customer One portal are by default synced to Entepryze and also synced to SAP once they have been, let's say, confirmed and approved in Entepryze. So we'll see each of the transactions in the related module in SAP. So services or service calls will be added in the service call module. I will share my screen briefly in order to show you an example. Okay, so if we go over to SAP, any service call that has been added by a customer due to facing a certain issue, for example, or having a certain request will be added under the service module as a service call. I will go to the latest service call added. We will have the name and code of the customer and the related contact person. We will also have the status and any updates on the status, and we can have the solutions or the activities as well as to what action was taken on the service call. And the same applies to sales orders and quotations, any data that has been added. So like a new quotation or a request of a customer for a certain item from the supplier, then it will also appear in SAP under the sales module. And we can also use the service module to log in complaints or build a knowledge program in SAP to service our customers. So whoever is in charge of, let's say, customer care, for example, can have access to the service module and will be able to filter and work on the customer's requests and process them in SAP. And regarding the statement of account, then the the same case applies. The statement of account will be matching to that in SAP, and it will reduce, as Sakib mentioned, it will reduce the use of internal, let's say, resources in order to print or prepare the account balance. The customer can export it themselves through the Customer One portal. And so that's it relating to SAP.
Thanks, Malak. And any questions that anyone has, you can either pop it up in chat or send it through to us on email, and we'll try to get back to you with the answers. And if anyone is interested to have a live demonstration or case-to-case based demonstration, we'll be happy to help. Please send your inquiries to us, and we'll be happy to help you.
Okay, thank you, Malak and Sakib, for that demo. Just here's a screen of the Entepryze and ABS social medias to follow. If like mine, and there's plenty of updates on both, on both channels across all of the different social media channels, from Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. If there's I can't see any questions that are after coming in. Let me just, no, I can't see anything that's after coming in, but as Sakib said, if you do have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to your account manager or to your customer success manager, and both Entepryze and ABS will be happy to follow up with them. And thank you for attending our webinar today. Okay, perfect.
Thank you all panelists and attendees. Bye-bye.